Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, a lot of information has been, or there has been a lot of talk about martial law and his latest executive order, which I'm going to get into in a moment. And has he declared martial law? Are we under national emergency? What is going on? Well, this report is going to delve into all of that and more. But for starters, let me take you first and foremost to Infowars.com and a report they put out. And this one's titled, Donald Trump Declares a National Emergency and Financial Martial Law Against the Globalists. Now here's another report. This is on Alex Jones' YouTube channel, and it's Red Alert. Trump has declared martial law. MSM total blackout on development. Now he put that out on December 31st, and I wanted to show you both of those because the videos on those are very, very in-depth, and if you want a good analysis on that, I've got that below. But what I want to do in this report is let's go straight to the source and the executive order in which Alex Jones is referencing on that, so you guys kind of get the overall picture of what's really going on and who has what is really going on with Donald Trump and martial law and what that means for the average American citizen. Well, on whitehouse.gov, which is where you can get these executive orders, you can see on the screen that the executive order has been put out by President Trump just this week, and it's executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. Now, a little bit down in this executive order, here's what it states, and I'm going to read it verbatim so you have it verbatim. But it's this: I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the prevalence and severity of human rights abuse and corruption that have their source in whole or in substantial part outside of the U.S., such as those committed or directed by persons listed in the annex to this order, have reached such scope and gravity that they threaten the stability of international political and economic systems. Human rights abuse and corruption undermine the value that form an essential foundation of stable, secure, and functioning societies, have devastating impacts on individuals, weaken democratic institutes, degrade the rule of law, perpetuate violent conflicts, facilitate the activities of dangerous persons, tangible and significant consequences on those who commit serious human rights abuse or engage in that corruption, as well as to protect the financial system of the U.S. from abuse of these same persons. Now, he's referencing a certain group of people, in this case, human right lawbreakers, if you will. But he goes on to say, as a result of all of that, I therefore determine that serious human rights abuse and corruption around the world constitute an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the U.S. And I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with that threat. So there you have it. He has fully declared a national emergency. So you have it straight from whitehouse.gov. I'm going to leave a link below. Now, the question that we need to ask ourselves is there a difference between martial law and a national emergency? What constitutes what, and what does that mean? Are we going to see people on the streets? Well, no, we're not going to see men in guns. Martial law can be declared in certain facets and ways. And in this case, I agree with Alex Jones and believe that it has been declared on the globalists. Let me say this before I move on into my second point. I do believe that through this, there is a coup going on against the President of the United States. QAnonymous, or QAnon, has leaked a lot of information online, some of which I believe has been foiled, some of which has come to pass. I've done a little bit of research, but if you don't know who that is, he or she or the person, whomever it might be, has come out and said that they are high up around the president, that they believe there is basically a coup against him, and the president's going to start making a stance against that. He even leaked, reportedly, photos from Air Force One. So there's a lot of conspiracy, a lot of chatter, a lot of information around QAnonymous or QAnon, but he came out and shared some of that stuff on 4chan. So lots of things to think about, but that information is something that I believe many of us have been talking about for a long time. I've talked about the counter coup and the coup against the president, and I believe that this executive order is a step in the direction to start finally making the arrest that he needs to make in this human trafficking order that I believe involves a lot of higher ups and people all over the spectrum. But that's what's been declared. So at this point, back to my question, what is the difference? What does national emergency have to do with martial law? Well, I found this great evaluation I wanted to share with you, and this is on plumes.com. There are 3 big differences between martial law, national emergency. One of those, the first one, and they have a good assessment here, but martial law, as the name says, is the direct imposition of military government over civilian elected government. Reasons could be various, as we have seen it in recent cases, to protect the national interests of the elected government from civil unrest. That's one reason. But then it goes on, whereas a national emergency, which is what Trump has declared, is the state of emergency imposed by the president, Trump, due to external aggression or armed rebellion in whole nation, and it poses grave threat to the nation and its unity. In this case, the people involved in human rights abuses specifically, not the American people, but those involved in the atrocities going on with human trafficking, human rights violation, that kind of thing. A second one is martial law comes with curfews, suspensions. We're not seeing any of that, obviously, of civil rights and civil law, and it's ridiculed because of implementation of military law and military justice to the civilians as well, wherein president can also impose a state emergency if they deem that constitutional body of the state is unfit to continue based on the report from governor of state. And it gives the president direct authority over the state till the time the government is not stable in the region or the crucial decisions that have to be taken in the presidential office only. So a little bit differences. Obviously, there's no curfews or any of that going on. And that's why I say President Trump has declared it on a people group, a national emergency. The third one here, martial law can be used by ruling governments to suppress the dissent against their rule. We have seen it in various cases in past history. It is used for selfish means and should be condemnable internationally, where in financial emergency, which is another one that I believe is in that EO, also comes under the national emergency section and can also be imposed by the president if financial stability of the economy is in peril or credit of country is threatened, which we know we're kind of been under that radar for a while. But under that, the government employees' taxes can be reduced, or not taxes, but their pay, salary can be reduced. Now, following that executive order came this proclamation, which I wanted to share with you also on whitehouse.gov, but the president has declared the month of January 2018 as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. All that to say that I think Donald Trump is definitely trying to make a statement against human trafficking. And let's be honest, we've had lots of things happen in the past, lots of human trafficking. We have Anthony Weiner, all the sex scandals from Hollywood, the sex scandals that we've heard about from high-up politicians. And to be honest, there are a lot of people who have come out of organizations like the Illuminati, like Skull and Crossbones, that have exposed the pedophile rings within the upper ranks of those in the government. And books have been written, many of which I have read, exposing the atrocities of people that will come to these parties where young children are involved. And now that some of these children are older, they're exposing some of these things, but they pay high dollar and have these pedo rings like Jeffrey Epstein, who has his own island, pedo island, label it as such. But these are some of the things that we're dealing with. And I believe that if we get to the heart of that problem, then a lot of people are going to be going down. A lot of the corruption that we're seeing is going to be falling away. I know there's a lot of talk on the Podestas and everything under the sun. So just wanted to kind of break all that down for you guys. I know a lot of you have been asking about that. What's going on? Has it been a real declaration? Obviously, we don't have people in the streets and we don't have military doing things. It's not at that level. When you say martial law, it can take certain various forms, so you have to be careful with how you do that. But obviously, he has declared a national emergency, but specifically in regards to the human rights trafficking. And I think that this is a way for Donald Trump to fight against the globalists. That's my personal take. That's what he's doing. He's not there to go against the American people. He says, we have to do this, otherwise they're going to attempt to take me out. As Q Anonymous and others have believed, they have been attempting to take him out in some way, shape, or form. This Russian collusion narrative is falling apart. It's fake, and they don't have any evidence, and they know it. And now mainstream media is finally starting to have to admit it because they're looking like idiots. That's the truth. But I believe Donald Trump is doing this to save his presidency, to save what he has in office, and to attempt to save the American people from all of the junk that we've seen over the past few years, from all of this New World Order, United Nations, globalist-minded, and pedo ring kind of people that we're dealing with. So, and I've talked a lot about it over the years. So anyhow, chances are this video is going to be unmonetized because anytime you expose the pedo ring, they hate that. So please make sure you check out my partner at Patriot Supply, mypatriotsupply.com /Lisa Haven. They got all kinds of food preparation. I'm very big on food prep. You guys know that. And this is actually very nutritious. And I love what they have there. So go to My Patriot Supply and make sure you have food storage, for you never know what tomorrow holds. Well, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.